संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। So we are in that section of Shrimad Bhagavad Gita where the concept of avatar, the Avatarahood, that the God incarnates as a human being to show the way out from this quagmire of this world of delusion. That we are deluded, taking this world to be a tangible reality, our sense of ego as a tangible reality. I exist as this individual limited being, and the world which I interact with, that is also real. I am real as per my egoistic existence is concerned, and the external world with which constantly I am having interaction, that too is real. And all our problem starts when we take this world to be a tangible reality, and we find we are constantly swayed like a pendulum by the pair of opposites in the form of joy and sorrow, heat and cold, as has been spoken of by Bhagavan in the very second chapter. Constantly we are baffled by them, as if there is no peace. To show us the way out from this quagmire of this delusion, God incarnates as a human being, and holding unto Him. Why He incarnates? So that holding unto Him, we can come out of this delusional existence. So with this idea, with this introduction, as we have already started this concept in the last class, we will start again from this 25th verse. This chapter will end on the 30th verse. I'm not sure whether we are going to cover this today. But let's go to the very depth of the concept. Let us try to understand the ideas very clearly. Being born as a Hindu, the biggest drawback is from the childhood we hear so many terms. And we get so much familiar with the terms, we never question that what that term actually signifies. And that way, we don't understand the very philosophy of our own religion. We think we know so many things, but we will find at last we are familiar with the terminology. But what actually the real meaning behind that term, if we are questioned, sometimes we are baffled. We don't know. So sometimes we find that we won't be doing proper justice to the scripture if we don't delve deep into the concept by taking each of these terms and try to find out the wonderful meaning hidden behind that terms. So in the 25th verse, what it is mentioned, here we will find the concept of Yoga Maya for the first time has been introduced. In this same 7th chapter, if you remember, when we were studying the 14th verse, already the concept of Gunamaya was introduced. Gunamaya, Yogamaya. These are the two terms. Gunamaya, Yogamaya. In the 14th verse, that concept of Gunamaya was introduced. What it was? Daivi Hesha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratyaya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. So what's that? That the Gunamai Maya, with which we are all baffled, deluded. That is very powerful, Daivi Hesha. It is not possible for a human with its humanly strength to go beyond that. Because it is Daivi, it is something beyond this human scope to really deal with. It is something supernatural. Supernatural means nothing mysterious. The working of the nature of which we are not aware. It is something super. That supernatural means this Daivi. This Gunamai Maya is that supernatural. It is very difficult to transcend that. Mama Maya Duratya. Very difficult to transcend that. Mameva ye prapadyante. The one who resigns to me, takes resort to me, with full devotion, resigns, takes sharanagati. Mameva ye prapadyante, mayam etam tarantite. They can go beyond this Maya. Now what this word Maya means? Maya. In Sanskrit the word Ya signifies yatha yatha, as it is. When I am seeing this external world, I feel the world is there as it is. When I try to feel about myself with this limited individuality, my ego, my feelings, my thoughts, my emotions, I feel they are as it is. The word Maya is negating that. The word Ma in the Mad word, Ya means yatha yatha, Ma means not. So the word Maya means that what you are perceiving, whether within or without, is not the thing as you think it to be as true. It is actually something else. Maya, that's the delusion. You are not seeing the things as it is. And this Maya in which we are deluded has been termed as Gunamaya. What is Gunamaya? To understand the word, now Maya we understand. Now what does the word Guna means? Maya is not seeing the thing as it is. Why we are not seeing the thing as it is? Because of the three gunas. Sattva, Raja, Tama. What does this actually mean? As we told that we read the scriptures, we are very familiar with the terms. We will say, we know it. The Sattva means calmness, Raja means activity, Tama means dullness. Yes, it's correct. But if I say the entire universe is constituted of nothing, as the scriptures say, but of these three gunas, this entire existence is three guna mai. Nothing else exists, only these three gunas. Now we find it's very difficult to understand. That is calmness, I understand. Activity, I understand. Dullness, I understand. But when I say the entire universe is nothing but these three, it's very difficult to explain. Now we will try to join the various concepts available in the scriptures to understand the term Sattva, Raja, Tama, by which the entire universe is constituted. What actually it is. Sattva, Raja, Tama. Now Sattva is calmness. Now if you study the scriptures, Vedantic scriptures, you will find the organs of perceptions are called pure Sattva. Your eyes, your ears, your tongue, your smell, the sense of smell, and the sense of touch. It is through these five sense organs I am perceiving the external world. And these sense organs are called pure Sattvic. Sattva is kindness. Just keep these ideas in the mind. First, Sattva is calmness. It is not something which is reacting. That's the first idea. The second, all the perceptions are pure Sattva. As has been mentioned in the Vedanta Sara, the organs of perceptions are the pure Sattva. And what is Rajas? The organs of action, through which you are doing activity. All the activity, through all organs of action. Karma, Karmendriya and Jnanendriya. The organs of perceptions are the Jnanendriya, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue and the skin, through which we are having these five perceptions, which constitutes our entire reality. Nothing is beyond that. Whatever we perceive through these five senses, that's what constitutes the universe. And after perceiving, we react through the five organs of action. What are they? The hasta, pada, the hand, the feet, vak, the speech, and the organ of evacuation, excretion, and another is organ of procreation. So spayu upastha, hastapada, vak payu upastha. So these are the 5 organs of action through which I am reacting to what I perceive. And what is tamas? It is darkness. In the state of deep sleep, we are in tamas. That's what we mentioned. Now let us try to understand what actually, and they say this constitutes our entire universe. So this Vedanta had done a wonderful analysis. What it has done, you will find in Swamiji's lectures it is mentioned, no knowledge is outside. All the knowledge is within. What it means? That when we are born, our mind is not empty. This is a tabula rasa, is a medical term taken from the Greek word. Tabula rasa means empty. We have a feeling, generally an ordinary person, a lay person will think that the mind is empty. A child is born, the parents, by instructing the child, by constantly training the child in various physical and mental activities, and that's how we are pouring the knowledge in, and the child becomes an adult, knowledgeable person. As if there is the mind is like an empty vessel in which the information is poured to make us knowledgeable. But Swami Vivekananda, with keeping the scriptures in his mind, is saying, no, the entire knowledge is already in the mind. The external world is just a stimuli to generate that knowledge. That education is the manifestation of the perfection already in man. So what actually it means? It's very interesting that all the ideas, all the concepts, all the things which I am perceiving is already in the mind, hidden. When I am in deep sleep, my mind is not vacant. I am not interacting with the world. But all the knowledge of the world is hidden in my mind, and that's why darkness is tamas. The deep sleep is tamas, because the mind is dark. It is not that the mind is vacant. All the ideas are there, but they are not manifesting. Now wake up in the morning, most probably by the side of your window there is a garden. You wake up, you open your eyes, the first thing your sight falls on the garden, you see a wonderful red rose has bloomed. And I think, this is the Gunamaya, what I think, that the red flower is there outside, tangible red flower is there outside, I am just perceiving it. It's a reality out there. But the modern science will say you, the flower is not there as you see. It's a wonderful way of perception. What's happening? That the light is falling on that red flower. But when the light is falling, what happens? We have studied in the science, basic science, that all the wavelengths of light will be absorbed. A particular wavelength is reflected. That comes and touches the retina of your eye. The function of light stops there. The light doesn't enter the brain through which the perception is happening. The organ through which the mind is working is the brain. Now, the light doesn't enter the brain. Think yourself sitting inside the brain. It is totally dark. No light enters. No sound enters. We say it is because of the brain I perceive whatever I see, I perceive whatever I hear. But does any sound enter the brain? The science will say no sound enters there. No light enters there. When I touch, I say it is because of the brain I feel the sense of touch. Does the sense that touch goes to the brain? No. It is just as touching the skin. It never goes to the brain. Smell. It is just touching the so-called the olfactory, the lobes of which is responsible for your smell. The ears, the eardrum. The sound touches that. It doesn't enter your brain. So now all the perceptions can be explained in the same way. Let us take this example of this red flower. What's happening? A particular wavelength of light comes, all the lights are absorbed. Only a particular wavelength is reflected back it comes and touches your eye. That wavelength of light has no color. The science will say it has no color. It's just a particular wavelength. The moment it touches the retina, the function of light stops. That stimulates the optic nerve. The nerve currents are like electric currents, which are carrying a particular pulsation, particular frequency, particular wavelength of nerve current. This particular wavelength creates a particular wavelength of nerve current, optical nerve current, which is passing through the nerve. It is just like a current. It is not the light. It goes, and when it reaches the color center of your brain, as we were saying, when I was in deep sleep, my mind was full of idea. All the ideas were hidden there. The idea of redness, the concept of redness, concept of all the colors, the concept of all the sound, the concept of all smell, all touch, all taste. These are all already hidden in the mind. If they were not in the mind, we would have never perceived anything. They are all hidden in the mind. This particular wavelength of this nerve current, when it reaches the brain and reaches the color center, now all the colors were just in darkness. This particular wavelength of light stimulates the red color, the concept of red color, which is already in the mind. That is stimulated. How it is stimulated? The mind cannot stimulate anything unless, the Vedanta says, the conscious principle is behind the mind. When a man is dead, his mind is, his brain is still there. Can he interact with the world? No. As long as he's alive, he's using the mind as a hardware of the computer. Just the way, unless you plug in the computer with the voltage, the current, the power supply, will the computer work? The hard disk is just like the brain, it's just like the mind. But it cannot work by itself. First, I have to plug in. So the consciousness has already made the mind active. Now the sense organs are like the keyboard. They are like the keyboard. So with all these perceptions, what I am doing, I am using the keyboard. And then what happens? When the computer is already connected, then only the hard disk is activated. If it is not plugged in, however you may press the keyboard, will you get anything? No. The same thing is happening here. The mind is already activated by the consciousness. Now, when the external perception comes in, all the ideas are hidden in the mind. It's the consciousness which takes that particular idea of the mind, that redness, and is the consciousness which is projected as redness, and it engulfs, it encapsulates the flower to give me a feeling that it is red. So all these perceptions, just in the computer, the way what it happens, is a very basic idea of computer. It's the electric current which is like 1. If I say when the current is not on, it is 0. When the current is on, it is 1. So they say the computer runs on the binary digit, only 1 and 0. It recognizes nothing. What it is doing now, that when it enters the computer, the hard disk of the computer, they call it gate. They sometimes allow the current to pass, sometimes they don't allow the current to pass. It is a very intricate circuit, all the gate circuit. And this 1 and 0, when sometimes it is allowed, sometimes it is not allowed, is creating all the world of virtual. It is 1 and 0, nothing else, which you are seeing in the screen. The same thing is happening here. The consciousness is passing through the mind based on the external stimuli. Only it allows, like a gate, it allows a particular aspect of that concept which is already hidden in the mind. The consciousness takes its form and it is projected to create this world of virtual reality. So what I am seeing is not the red flower there. The concept of redness with which the consciousness gets colored and it is projected, and I see the red flower there. So now you will understand what is happening. Whatever I am seeing is consciousness, nothing else. Consciousness taking a particular aspect of the mind and is projected to create this world of virtual reality. But as I am not aware of the conscious principle, behind my existence, as the core of my existence, that's the delusion. I take this external world to be real, which is not at all there. There is something, but what it is, I can never know. It has to be colored by the mind and the senses. The consciousness gets colored by the mind and the senses and is projected. And what I see is the projection of the mind, a projection of the consciousness through the mind and the senses. I can never see the world as it is. Or at the most I can say it exists. But what it is, I can never know. It is unknown, unknowable. Vedanta says everything is consciousness. It's a fact. It is a consciousness which is appearing as this world of diversity. To give a simple example, it is just like a prism through which the white light is passing, and it is breaking into the spectrum of 7 colors. This white light is just like the consciousness, mind is like the prism, and these 7 colors, the spectrum actually is not 7 colors, it is infinite colors. The human eye can see only 7 colors, but it is actually breaking into a spectrum beyond red, beyond violet. Means this UV, the ultraviolet, which can burn my skin but I cannot see it, and infrared light. The nocturnal animals can see the infrared light, we cannot see. So it's having infinite spectrum. So this white light falling on the prism breaks into this spectrum. So consciousness falling in the prism called mind breaks into this spectrum of this world of name and form. And that's what I see. Now let us come back to that example that I was in sleep. When I wake up, I see the red flower. Now what has happened? When I opened my eyes, my consciousness, till now it was in deep sleep. All the ideas are there in the mind. If it was not there, I could haven't seen anything, but they were all hidden. When I opened my eyes, look at the flower just acts as a stimuli, and it is the consciousness which is taking the form of redness and is projected to make me feel that it is a red flower. So they say this sattva, raja, tama, these 3 gunas are interconvertible. They are not, sometimes we have an idea, they are like, the woman will be having this braided hairs, they will braid the hair. So some will have, meaning that just or the way that you make a rope. There are 3 different threads, you intertwine that to get a very strong, stout rope. So sattva, raja, tama is like the 3 threads which are intertwined to create this rope. It's a very shallow understanding. It's not like that. So scripture itself says they are interconvertible. They are not very separate, segregate existence. Now, so when I was in deep sleep, all the concepts were hidden in the mind. It was in darkness, isn't it? That is a state of tamas. Tamas is darkness. Now, when I wake up, this tamas is getting converted into sattva. How? The moment I open my eyes, look at the flower, a particular stimuli is activating a very particular speck of information hidden in the mind in the form of that redness that is there in mind. So that is only activated, and that the moment it is activated and it is coming and making the flower visible as a red, something as a red color. So what is happening? We say sattva is illumination, isn't it? Sattva is illumination. Sense of perceptions are sattva. So I will find through the sense of perception, through eye, can I act, can I work? No, I can only see. It illumines the world for me. So that is why it is called sattva. So what happens? This tamas is getting converted into sattva. The moment I open my eyes, all the knowledge which was hidden in my mind, a particular aspect of that knowledge which gives me the idea of this red flower, that alone is activated and I see the red flower. After that, what happens? I am born with particular tendencies. Because of my past actions, we are born with particular tendencies, isn't it? Now, as per my tendency, I may be a devotee, or I may be just a simple lover of nature, or I may be a one who has a very sense of aesthetics. Though I don't believe in God, I have a sense of aesthetics. I want to decorate my house nicely. So based on this different temperament, my reaction will be different. How? The one who is a devotee, seeing that beautiful red flower, wakes up walks down the garden, plucks the red flower, brings it and offers it to the god in his altar, in the home shrine, the altar, he offers. So this action, that is through his feet, through his hand, he is offering this action. So this sattva is now getting converted into rajas. If I am, and that also depends on what is my temperament. If I am not a devotee, but at the same time I have a very sense of aesthetics, I would like to make a wonderful vase of that flower and keep it most probably in the living space. In my living room, somewhere I keep it, it looks nice. So as per my temperament, that may be my reaction. Or if I am a lover of nature, I don't like to pluck the flower at all. I want to maintain the garden, let more flowers bloom. I water the plant, I get inspired, I water the plant nicely and feel that they let this nature bloom. So my action is different, isn't it? Now think, when I say the entire world is nothing but three gunas, is there anything apart from this you can think in your life? That all the ideas are there in my mind? Constantly by interacting with the world, what is happening? The consciousness is being projected through the mind to create this world of name and form, and that's how I am perceiving the world. That's the sattva is generated. From the tamas, the sattva is generated. And from the sattva, rajas comes. As per my inclination, as per my likings, disliking, choices, I react to that stimuli in a particular way. So this world, does a stone sees this world? No. As a human being, we see this world. And then the scriptures say it is nothing but three guna mahi. It is a play of these three gunas. Can anything you can think of apart from these three gunas? No. That's what's constantly happening. So if I have to translate this three guna in English, because these are the terms coined much, thousands of years back. If we try to relate with the present day language, what will be the exact translation? It is actually stimuli-response conditioning, nothing else. As a living being, I'm constantly responding to the stimuli. A rock doesn't respond to a stimuli. I'm constantly responding to the stimuli, and that constitutes my universe. I take this to be something tangibly real. And we are born with our particular inclinations to interact with this world, and we don't know how to come out of it. Now think, someone incarnates as a human being, knowing this phenomenon fully well, that it is a consciousness and consciousness alone, which is projecting through the mind and the senses to create this world of panorama. As in the time of Sri Ramakrishna in Dakshineshwar, there was a madcap suddenly appeared. He appeared to be a mad person. But Sri Ramakrishna recognized he is actually an realized soul, an illumined soul. What he used to do? He appeared to be a madcap. He had a chandelier. He had a chandelier in his hand. Chandelier, that which reflects the light. It is constituted of many prisms. He will have a small chandelier in his hand. In the daytime, he will just roam about, constantly babbling something and laughing. All thought he's mad. He says he has his own world. Sri Ramakrishna says, no, he's a jnani. What he will do, he will take the chandelier and allow the sunlight to fall on it. The moment the sunlight falls on the chandelier, it will create a wonderful panorama of light and shade on the ground. So he will go on moving the chandelier and see that wonderful panorama of light and shade on the ground, and constantly will go on laughing and saying, Wah, wah, kya maya hai, kya devi maya hai, kya devi maya hai. This is the thing which is happening. The consciousness passing through the prism of mind is creating this wonderful world of panorama, which we take to be real and constantly interacting. But God, out of compassion, He takes the human form, comes down as a human being. He looks like us, but He is aware of the white light. We are not aware of the white light. We are only aware of the spectrum. But He is aware this white light is appearing as a spectrum. So though He has came down, but He is not infatuated by the guna maya, these three gunas. Why? Because He is always tuned to the self, through the real self, what we all are. So when you're tuned to the self, when you're having union with the self, what's the term for that union? Yoga. Yoga means union. Even in our ordinary mathematical term, yoga means addition, union. So yoga maya, what it speaks? That you are born, some entity is born who is always in union with the real self, with the real conscious principle, who never gets lost from that. So he is also seeing the panorama, that Maya is still applicable for him. So yoga Maya, that he is also seeing the thing which it is not there as it is. But he knows well the source of it. It is because of the mind, behind the mind, the consciousness, as he is always tuned to it. So he is always aware that this Maya is actually, it is actually Maya. It is not as it is. It is a consciousness which is appearing this world of name and senses. We ordinary being not being yoga, we not in yoga with our real self, get deluded by this. Take this real. And all our conflicts, confrontations, suffering, dejection, everything is because of our taking this world to be a world of tangible reality. You will find everything. All the fight, tensions, everything comes from that, which is going to pass away. We are not going to stay with it eternally. We are just a passerby. But we forget. We somehow get deluded. We think this is the be-all and end-all of existence. As in the life of Holy Mother, we find a wonderful incident. She was one day sitting on the courtyard of her house in Jairambati. She was sitting, and suddenly she noticed that two of her brothers started quarreling, had developed a quarrel. They were quarreling on something. What was the quarrel? The elder brother was giving a fence, was constructing a fence for his own property, which was adjacent to his brother's property. Now when he was, this is a very common thing. When he was constructing the fence, suddenly the younger brother came and he told, most probably your measurement is not correct. You have encroached my property to a certain extent. And that's the cause of the quarrel. And after some time, within a few minutes, mother was just sitting on the courtyard and was looking at what's happening. And in no moment, these two brothers got so excited, they started coming into blows. They were almost fighting. Now mother couldn't sit quiet. Naturally, after all, they are her brothers. So she got a bit agitated. She went and stood between them and forcibly stopped them from fighting and scolded them, go to your room. And she was visibly disturbed, agitated. But she is after all always attached to that real nature. So what happened? It's just a matter of fraction of time that she appeared to be agitated. She went back and again sat where she was sitting and started laughing loudly. And a very simple thing she said. This Swami Vivekananda used to say, the most uncommon thing in this world is common sense. And religion means that common sense, nothing else. What mother said is very simple. This land will remain. It was there, it is there, it will there for how long we don't know. And these two fools are fighting, saying this is mine, that is mine. You two fools won't be here after maybe 10 years, 20 years. And that is Maya. Nothing else. Taking this world to be tangible, real, as if we are going to stay here and enjoy it. All our fights, confused. This is my religion, this is my country. Everything is Maya. The entire world, just see, with all your science and development, at last are all befooled by Maya. The basic thing we forget, that this samsara, the word samsara means what? Samsarate iti samsara. Constantly it is flowing. Nothing is permanent. But we, with all our knowledge, that's why Swamiji used to say we are all mustached babes. Because we have grown, physically we have grown, intellectually we have grown. We have very strong mustache. But spiritual sense, we are all babes, babies. Still we need something to suck, the suckling babes. This world should be there to constantly on which we are suckling. Because it's so tangible, real for us. That's the Gunamaya. And Yogamaya, God out of compassion. To take us out of this delusion, He incarnates. When He incarnates, He never forgets His real nature. He is always in union with His real nature. That's the yoga. Though, as a human being, He also behaves like us. He also as if interacting with the world, but He is never forgetful about His real nature. So that's the idea of the Yoga Maya. Now these terms you find so important. Just take this simple word. It needs so much of analysis to really understand what this Yoga Maya is, what is Guna Maya is. We are baffled with this Guna Maya. God out of compassion comes down, but He is never forgetful of His real nature. He is always in union, yoga, with His real nature. He comes down to take us out. Because the only way we can come out of it is to resort to that conscious principle which we are. But as a human being, to really hold on to that something abstract is almost impossible. So we need a living example. What the scriptures say should be exemplified through some life. There should be a living commentary. Now, if you are always aware of the conscious principle, though you are interacting with the world, your behavioral pattern will change spontaneously. And that will inspire others. How your behavioral pattern will change? These are the examples which we give again and again to make the ideas very clear. How your behavioral pattern will change. As long as I take the world to be real, I want to grab it. When I know it's virtual, this constant tendency to grab the world, to be drawn by the world, that falls off naturally. You don't have to force yourself. We think renunciation needs a willpower. Real renunciation is spontaneous. To give an example, Swami Vivekananda gives this wonderful example. That as a wandering monk, before he went to the West, as a wandering monk when he was traveling through the length and breadth of India. So what happened, that one day as he was in the deserts of Rajasthan, one day he was passing through the deserts of Rajasthan. He was thirsty. And naturally he was in search of water. And suddenly he saw a huge reservoir. He saw a huge reservoir just nearby. Not very near, it's at a short distance. And now as he was very thirsty, he started approaching. And he found that somehow, as if the more he approaches the reservoirs, the distance is not reducing. It is as if the same. It is also as if receding. And then suddenly it vanished. It was not there. And then the idea struck. Oh, from the childhood, I have studied about mirage. For the first time, I am experiencing it. When I studied in the textbook, I got an intellectual knowledge. I thought I understand. Just now, as after hearing that we are the conscious principle, it is the consciousness which is projecting as all the sense perceptions that I am seeing as the world. Today, I may think after going out of the class, oh, I have understood. So nothing can baffle me. But it is just like reading about the mirage in the textbook, thinking I have understood, but till I really experience, I have not understood it. I intellectually think I have understood. But for the first time, when even after understanding intellectually, when for the first time you see a mirage, you won't understand. You will think it's real water. And that delusion has to go only through experience. It vanished, and for the first time Swamiji experienced, oh, this is the mirage. I have studied in my textbook. I thought I knew, but actually I never knew because I haven't realized. Today I realized. And after the realization, the difference happens. What's the difference? Your behavioral pattern changes. How? The next day, Swamiji is again passing through that desert. Now, what has happened? He knows this is Guna Maya. He knows. He has already experienced. So as he is in body, mind, senses, God also incarnates as a human being. And as a human being, he also experiences the world as we experience. So as Swamiji is still in his body, mind, senses, he again experiences the mirage. Next day, he sees. Again he sees it. A huge reservoir. But Swamiji is saying there's a big difference. Yesterday it dragged me. Today it has lost the power to drag me. It cannot drag me. I know it is not real. Now what will happen? Your behavioral pattern will change. So God incarnates and he starts behaving as if he looks like a human being. But when we start interacting with him, we find he's so different. In the battlefield of Mahabharata, he is giving this deliberation of this Bhagavad Gita. War is no way affecting him. He is saying, Arjuna, you will find in the Bhagavad Gita that Nihatam eva purvam eva, that I have already killed this before, well beforehand. Nimitta matram bhavasabhya sachin. You just become an instrument. What has to be done, I have done. You are just an instrument. So it's the divine. He knows. He incarnates himself. He is always in union with the conscious principle. And he knows the way the so-called this spectrum works. He knows it very well. He knows the past, present, future, how the laws of cause and effect, what is going to be, what it was, what is going to be. He knows everything. And he is sarvagya. We are alpagya. As we are bound within this limit of body, mind, senses, we are alpagya. He is the sarvagya. He knows everything. He comes down and he's seeing that first we are baffled. We think he's like an ordinary human being. But seeing his behavioral pattern, that he is attached to nothing. This war doesn't affect Krishna. When he is among the gopis, there is no lust. That love is pure. As a human being, we cannot never even imagine of it. So, though he is human, he is something beyond this so-called all the limitations of the human. And that inspires. Then we try to find out who actually he is. And when we know his real nature, that inspires us that more and more to be like him. And that's how we are drawn out of this quagmire of mind and senses. Because with the Yoga Maya, he descends to take us out, those who are all struggling with the Guna Maya. So this is the idea. So we have studied in the 14th verse, long back, the idea of that Guna Maya. Now here, by bringing in the concept of Avatarahood, what he is saying? Nahang prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavrita. That I have incarnated with that yoga maya, but an ordinary human being deludes me to be as a normal human being. I appear as an ordinary human being. So that's why others are not aware of my real identity. So I also, as if veiled by Maya, incarnate. Yoga Maya Samavrita, I also incarnate. Mudho yang nabhijanati. That those who are deluded, those who are extremely deluded by this world of this panorama, they never understand. It's so difficult to understand what's going on within. If here is a person who is never forgetful about his real nature, how can I know that? It's very difficult. Only I can know through the behavioral pattern, nothing else. But those who are extremely engrossed, who are not in any way drawn towards that personality, he is taken as just an ordinary being. So those who mudo yang nabhi janati, they never know me, loko mam ajam avyayam, that I am that ajam, unborn, avyaya, undecaying reality. It is always there, undecaying. They can never know me. They take me to be just as an ordinary human being. So that's the one concept we understood here. That he is never forgetful about his real nature, though he has incarnated as a human being. And that's the concept of Yoga Maya, which is so different from Guna Maya, where we are all baffled by it. And then let's proceed to the 26th verse, what it is saying. So that's why these terms are very important. We will find God is Maya Adhish. He is the Adhish. He is the Lord of Maya. He rules over Maya. And we are Maya Adhin. We are bound by that Maya. That's the difference. So, next verse, what it is saying? Vedahang samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mang tu veda na kaschana. It's another difference. That God is all-knowing, our knowledge is limited. Vedahang samatitani. Oh, Arjuna, I know the beings from the past. Atita. Sama, Atita, Atitani, Vartamanani, at the present, as well This past I know, the present I know, the outcome also I know. So this Vedahang Samati Atitani Vartamanani Cha Arjuna. I know your past, I know the present of all the beings, including you. Bhavishyani Cha Bhutani, your future also I know. Mang tu Vedana Kaschana. But you think your entire existence is this life alone. You don't know the past, you don't know what's the result outcome going to be. You are just bound by this limited by this time-space causation. So we are alpagya hi sarvagya. How it happens? So this our desires makes us alpagya, nothing else. Our desires. As we are bound by the desires, we take this world to be tangibly real, and naturally we try to interact with this world which generates these desires. This makes us alpagya. How? So Ramakrishna is a master of example. Without his examples, it's very difficult to understand the scripture. He's giving a very simple example. That suppose two persons are playing chess. There's a chess. Two persons are playing chess. They are all amateurs. And another person is just an onlooker. He's looking at the game. And you will always find it very interesting. The one who is onlooker, he always says the correct move. The two players resist him. Don't say the move. It is after all we are playing. You shouldn't say the move. You just sit and observe. But he's constantly feeling, oh, he has made a mistake. The correct move would have been that. He is the one who is the wise person, always saying the correct move. These two players are always making a lot of mistakes. And we may think the onlooker is most probably an expert player. Now the role changes. One of the players becomes the onlooker, and the onlooker also starts playing. And you will find, as an onlooker, he was a wise person. He knew all the moves. Now he has also started baffling. Why? So if Ramakrishna is saying very interesting, the onlooker has nothing to do with the game as per his personal interest is concerned. He has neither to win nor to lose. Those who are playing, they constantly have an expectation. I have to win. There's a constant fear. I may lose. These expectations, this fear is engulfing his mind, is not allowing him to give the correct move. His mind is already engrossed by all those biases, so he can never see the thing correctly. But the onlooker, who has nothing to do with the game, he can see the entire picture. So he can say the correct move. So God incarnates, never forgetting his real nature. This Gunamaya never baffles him. So he is not involved with any sense of expectation or losing. He is beyond that. So when he sees the whole picture. The scriptures give so many wonderful examples that why our vision is always distorted. Because of our biases, because of our likings, because of our disliking. There's an example which we give again and again. The example of a stump. Suppose a tree has fallen down because of storm. So the entire tree has gone, only the stump is remaining. It is most probably in the corner of a park, and in the twilight hours, in the evening twilight hours, it's not properly visible. You can see something is there, but what I don't know. Now you will see the scripture gives this wonderful example. Because of our biases, our vision will get distorted. How? Suppose a thief is running away from the police. He has stolen something and he is fearful, is afraid of the police, and he is running. Knowing very well this police is in search of him, he is running, and from a distance he sees that stump. He thinks, oh, it's the police sitting there. He gets scared. And the police was really in search of that thief. From a distance, the police sees the stump. He thinks, oh, that's the thief I was searching for. Just see, as per your mental expectations, orientations, bias, your vision is getting distorted. It is just the stump. In the twilight hours, the thief thinks it's the police thinks it's the thief. A small child was playing with the other children. Now it's evening, it's getting dark. He knows, or she knows very well, the mother is waiting somewhere in the corner of the park to take him back to home. So the child now is in search of the mother. From a distance, the child sees the stump, it thinks it's the mother. And the mother who knows the child is now, it's time for the child to come. She is also expecting the child will come back. From a distance she sees the stump. Oh, that's my child. And some lovers, they were waiting. Let it get dark. It's the time for us to meet. The renders verse. So they are also expecting that most probably my beloved is waiting somewhere for me in the corner of the park. So the lover sees the stump and thinks it's the beloved. Just see, our bias distorts our vision. That makes us alpagya. But the one who has no bias, he sees the thing as it is. So God is saying here, I know the past, the present, the future of entire being. As he has no bias, nothing is there to obscure his vision. Our vision gets biased because we are so much involved with the world. The knowledge of the past is in my mind, but why I cannot see it? I will give a small example with which you will understand. Suppose in this room, there is a screen, and through a projector we are projecting suppose a movie is being projected. And we are all sitting here enjoying the movie. And suddenly someone comes and opens all the doors and windows. And the light comes in. Would you see the movie? No. That's what is happening with us. We are so much involved with this guna maya. All our doors, indriyas are open, constantly interacting with the world. In the mind, the projection of the past is still there. But it gets flooded with the present. It gets flooded. We see nothing. But the God who is not baffled by this world, he just has to draw within, get indrawn a bit within. And he sees the clear picture of everything. Not only past, even of the future. Because everything follows the law of cause and effect. So if you are not baffled by the present, that we all know that just say we don't know the future. We all know that having a heavy carbohydrate diet, sweet, is not good for me. But do our behavioral pattern conform to this knowledge? No. As we have tremendous attachment for the food, we forget that if I take too much of sweet, it is going to affect my health. We forget. But the God has no attachment. He knows the laws of cause and effect. This cause is going to result in such and such effect. We are baffled. We are just busy with the present engrossment. God sees it all. I will give an example. Swami Vivekananda, when he was in the West, his disciples were showing him the marvels of the West. When going through the Europe, the huge buildings, landscapes, Swamiji see, with full pride they were saying, the marvel of the Western civilization. And Swamiji's reply was something very, very wonderful. He told, where you see flourishment, I see. It's just the entire European civilization which you see is flourishing, I see is sitting on the tip of a volcano, going to explode anytime. All his disciples were baffled. What do you say? And he told, it's in his life. If you read the discoveries, Swamiji's new discoveries, there's so many, these interactions have all been recorded. He says, this entire Western civilization is sitting on the tip of a volcano to explode anytime. And just after Swamiji's passing away, Swamiji passed away in 1902. In another 1 decade, First World War, the Second World War by 1940s. Why? Why he was saying that? He actually, when he went to the West, he doesn't have the patriotism of the Western people, which has deluded their understanding, but very common understanding. With an open mind, he's looking. What he saw? That the entire Western world was busy in colonializing. Swamiji is saying these two things. What you see as this wonderful, flourished civilization, I see only blood. It is only by exploiting the third world you have developed this world, nothing else. This entire flourished world you see, it's by exploiting the so-called the colonies which you have formed, the colonialization. And there is so much tremendous competition in the colonialization, the Western world has developing tremendous arms. This armament is there everywhere. Tremendous regimentation. Every country is there to pride with his weapons and arms, any time to fight, because this colonialization at last will end up in a tremendous competition. It is I who has the right to exploit others, not you. And this at last will lead in a tremendous war. With an open mind, without any bias, without the chauvinistic nationalism. What is Chauvin? Nicolas Chauvin was a French patriot soldier. He used to say, what at any cost, the flourishment of France is the thing which is the goal. If it is for the flourishment of the France, everything is okay. Colonialism is okay. Exploitation of others is okay. So that type of patriotism is called Chauvin, as Nicolas Chauvin is to propound that, it is called Chauvinistic nationalism, where your vision has been distorted. Your so-called, your patriotism is so narrow. You cannot see the entire picture. But if with an open mind, if you see that this cause is having an effect. When Swami Vivekananda came back to India, he told that in another 50 years, India is going to get freedom. Listening to that at that time, even the freedom movement hasn't started. In 1902, Mahatma Gandhi was still in South Africa. He has just visited, he has came back, but he's not a prominent person. There's no such organized freedom movement in India at that time. And Swamiji, one day met his classmate Brajamohol Sil. He was his classmate, school days. And he told, oh, in another 50 years, India will get independence. Now, as he said that, that this Mudho hoyang na bhi janati. Now, this Brajamohol Sil thought he's my school friend. Maybe he has become famous going to the West, giving lectures. But after all, that's just a matter of his intelligence and all. After all, he's an ordinary being. So he started quarreling with him. He started quarreling and he told, it can never be. And Swamiji, to affirm what he was saying, he took a charcoal. And with charcoal, on the house in which they were sitting, he went to the, there's the exterior of the house, and in one corner of the house with the charcoal he wrote, India is going to get independence in another 50 years. And that was there as a relic for many years. It's not no more there. I came to know it was a research work. I was in Medinipur for about 7.5 years. And Medinipur is known, very famous for all these revolutionaries. Many revolutionaries came from Medinipur. And these revolutionaries heard that Swamiji has written in Calcutta in one house that India is going to get independence in another 50 years. From Midnapur to Calcutta is 150 kilometers. In those days, this traveling was not easy. They used to travel, taking all pains, like going to a tirtha, just to see those words written in that wall. It was there as an inspiration for years. With the charcoal he wrote. And exactly, he came back to India from the West in 1897. And you calculate when he got the independence. 94, exact 50 years. He's saying that forget all other gods, goddesses. Let for the next 50 years Mother India be your god, goddesses. Just why I'm saying Bhavishyani. Then see the future. They see it. Because after all, they are in a pedestal from where they can have a bird's eye vision. They know the past, the present, the future. Because they're always attuned to their self. This world of Maya in no way baffles them. They see the thing as it is. So the Maya cannot baffle them. And that's what Bhagavan is saying. Vedahang samatitani vartamanani. I see you, I know your past, I know your present. Bhavishyani. What's going to be. That's why he's saying, Nihatam eva purvam eva. He knows, after all, who is going to win this war. After all, these Pandavas are going to win. So I have already killed them. You just become an instrument. What is going to happen for that cause and effect, you are just an instrument. You will be working for that. Nimitta matra bhavasabhya sachin. Resign to me, knowing very well you are an instrument in the hand of the divine. So just see how this Bhagavad Gita, it's a scripture which you have to dive deep to really understand the beauty of this wonderful sublime philosophy. What a wonderful thing he's saying. It's not just simply some supernatural thing. Oh, I can see everything. You cannot know. I'm something having supernatural power. No, it has a science behind it. The more even we in our life, you will find it happens in our day-to-day life. When your own children will be doing some silly things, you say you don't know what's the effect going to be. Why? Because we somehow came through that stages. We were so much passionate about life as a young man, and we knew how certain actions can lead to some adverse effect. But as an elderly person, I have developed some detachment. So now I can see the picture in a much clearer way. I can warn the child, you don't understand. But if you have to learn from my experience, know it for certain, these ways are not going to help you. From where you have got that wisdom? From the detachment which has came through the experiences of life, nothing else. And that's what Bhagavan is saying. That I know everything. You are Alpagya. Because I am always tuned to my real nature. So that's what with which the 26th verse says. The 27th verse also will be continuing in those lines. That how that this raga dvesha, why it deludes us, not the God. That's what he will be indicating there. The 27th, 28th. So we will continue with the 27th, 28th, 29th and 30th again in the next class. So with this we stop our discussion today. It's almost time for this class time is over. So again we will continue in the next class. So with this we stop our discussion today. Thank you all. Namaskar.